Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at Grotmas Day 10, The Grey Knights. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Grotmas Calendar Day 10. 'Tis the season for the sanctified kill zone. When you need a world purified and you need it yesterday, look no further than today's Grotmas Calendar Detachment, the Warp Zone Task Force for the Grey Knights. The Grey Knights strike to cleanse the unhallowed ground and restore the sanctity of the Emperor's domain. The Warpbane task force is raised when only the most obscured and esoteric rituals of purgation will drive the taint of chaos back into the depths of the warp. Striding fearlessly into malignant hellscapes, the warriors of the Order of Purifiers lead the assault. The combined psychic might of these anointed champions manifests in an azure fire that ignites the bodies and souls of unclean foes and scours away the taint of witchcraft and infernal corruption. In place of this excise perversion, an encircled zone of consecration is created, within which the Grey Knights are emboldened and empowered. With the Warpbane Task Force, Grey Knights players will be able to field Purifier squads at the height of their power, dispatched in mass to counter a specific threat. Where they tread is hallowed ground, within which the Grey Knights' attacks, and particularly those of the Purifiers themselves, are more accurate. As this zone expands across the battlefield, your enhancements and stratagems become more potent. A Radiant champion will find their melee attacks inflicting additional mortal wounds, while they are wholly within the hallowed ground. And in a sanctified kill zone, the Purifiers surpass themselves, re-rolling their wound rolls as they scour their foes from existence. Alright, so let's take a look at the new detachment. Alright, so we have the Warpbane Task Force. And keep in mind, the Grey Knights are going to have access to their army rule, which means they're going to be able to pick up 2 units per turn in a 2,000 point game. But they're going to be giving up the auto advance 6 and move as if they have fly ability in favor of this detachment rule, as well as all the previous enhancements and stratagems. So the new detachment rule is hallowed ground. Certain areas of the battlefield are within your army's hallowed ground as follows. Your deployment zone is always within your hallowed ground. The area of the battlefield within 6 inches of one or more Purifier squad unit from your army is within your army's hallowed ground. At the start of any phase, if you control at least half the objective markers within no man's land until the end of that phase, no man's land is within your army's hallowed ground. And then at the start of any phase, if you control at least half of the objective markers within your opponent's deployment zone, until the end of the phase, your opponent's deployment zone is within your army's hallowed ground. So each time a model in a Grey Knights unit from your army makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. If that unit is a Purifier squad and or is wholly within your army's hallowed ground, you can reroll the hit roll instead. So anytime you meet the hallowed ground criteria, including if you're a Purifier squad, you're going to be rerolling all of your hit rolls. And then if you're not within your hallowed ground, you're going to reroll hit rolls of 1 instead. So then we have our enhancements, the Mandulian Reliquary, 20 points. Grey Knights model only. While the Bear's unit is not battle shocked, add 3 to the Bear's objective control characteristic. Then we have Radiant Champions, 15 points. Grey Knights infantry model only. The Bear's melee weapons have the precision ability, and while the Bear is wholly within your army's hallowed ground, each time a melee attack is made by the Bear scores a wound. The target of the attack suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. So this one's pretty good, going to grant your character precision, and then also every time you wound, you're going to do a mortal wound. So the ability to dish out quite a bit of mortal wounds and then also take out characters. And then we have the File of the Abyss, 25 points. Grey Knights infantry model only. Models in the Bear's unit have the stealth ability. So the entire unit's going to be -1 to be hit. And then last but not least, we have the Paragon of Sanctity, 10 points. Grey Knights model only. Once per battle at the start of any phase, the Bear can select one friendly Grey Knights unit within 18 inches and visible to it. If it does, until the end of the phase, that unit is within your army's hallowed ground. So not bad, depending on how many Purifier units you have in your army, or just how much you're controlling the various objectives. You're probably going to have quite a bit of hallowed ground, but being able to grant this to a specific unit once per battle for 10 points is not bad. Now a quick word from today's sponsor, CMO Games. CMO Games carries a full range of Games Workshop products including miniatures, paint, terrain, tools, and more. They take pre-orders for most Games Workshop new releases as early as possible, usually 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. CMO Games offers 15% off of MSRP for most all Games Workshop products and offer fast free shipping to the continental United States on orders over $50. Most orders ship out within 24 hours. You know their customer service is top-notch as they've been selling games online for over 20 years. Use the affiliate link below and let them know that Warhammer Man sent you. Alright, and then we have our 6 new stratagems. Sanctified Kill Zone. So it's 1 command point when your shooting phase or fight phase, 1 Grey Knights unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase, and wholly within your army's hallowed ground. Effect, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1, or reroll the wound roll instead if your unit is a Purifier squad. So 1 command point to reroll wound rolls of 1, or per Purifiers you can reroll all of your wound rolls. And then we have Flames of Sanctity, 1 command point, when end of the fight phase. 1 Purifier unit from your army that was eligible to fight this phase. Effect, roll a d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of your unit. Add 1 to the result if your unit includes Castellan Crow. On a 4-up, the enemy unit suffers a d3 mortal wounds. So end of the fight phase, so your unit still has to be alive. So any enemy unit within 6 On a 4-up, it's going to take a D3 mortal wounds. If it's Castle and Crow's unit, it's going to be on a 3-up. So not a bad way to deal some mortal wounds at the end of a fight phase. Then we have Fires of the Covenant. 1 command point, start of your opponent's movement phase. Target 1 Grey Knight infantry unit from your army. Effect until the end of the phase. Each time an enemy unit is set up or ends a normal move, advance or fallback move within 6 of your unit, roll a d6. Add 2 to the result if your unit is wholly within your army's hallowed ground. On a 4-up, the enemy unit takes a d3 mortal wounds. So anytime a unit is set up, ends a normal advance or fallback move within 6. On a 4-up, they're going to take a d3 mortal wounds. On a 2-up, if it's a purifier squad. But you are going to have to trigger this at the start of your opponent's movement phase, so they will be able to avoid this if they want to. And then we have Aegis Eternal, 1 command point, your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Grey Knight infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Effect until the end of the phase, models in your unit wholly within your hallowed ground have a 4-up invulnerable save. So not bad. It is worth note that a lot of these stratagems say wholly within, which means they're always going to affect your purifier squads, but it is important to make sure that your other squads that you want to benefit from these stratagems or abilities are wholly within your hallowed ground. And then we have Hallowed Beacon, 1 command point, reinforcement step of your movement phase, target 1 Grey Knight's infantry unit, excluding Terminator units, that is arriving using the Deep Strike or Teleport Assault ability this phase. Effect, set your unit up wholly within your army's hallowed ground and more than 6 horizontally away from all enemy units. So you can't use this on Terminators, and then it's Grey Knight's infantry only. But if you're using Deep Strike or Teleport Assault ability, you can deploy outside of 6, and it does not prohibit you from charging. So you're going to have a really good probability of making a charge move, especially if you're willing to spend a command point to reroll a failed charge. So this is really good. And then also we have Repelling Sphere, 1 command point. When start of your opponent's charge phase, target 1 Grey Knight's infantry unit from your army. Effect, until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit declares a charge and your unit is one of the targets of the charge, subtract 1 from the charge roll or subtract 2 instead if your unit is wholly within your army's hallowed ground. So -1 to the charge roll or -2 to the charge roll if you're within your hallowed ground. So if somebody is trying to just charge you regular, obviously depends on what their charge distance is going to be, but you do have to do it before they actually declare their charge. But if they're coming in from Deep Strike and they're going for that 9-inch charge, you can essentially make it up to an 11, which is pretty much impossible. So overall, pretty good. The Grey Knight's army rule is obviously really good. Their detachment rule is okay, and so are their enhancements and stratagems. So this is definitely a viable new detachment for the Grey Knights, especially if you're going to be leaning in on the purifier squads. Now, typically we don't see a ton of purifier squads in the Grey Knights army. They also do have some really powerful enhancements and strats in the existing detachment. So you're going to be giving up quite a bit in favor of this one. But I definitely think this offers a different way that you can play your army, gives it a little bit different of a flavor, and has some pretty cool stuff. If you're currently a Grey Knights player or you are looking to get into Grey Knights, let me know what you think of this new detachment. Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. And as always, special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on most Games Workshop products. And make sure to tell them that Warhammer Man sent you. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.